Can foreigners move and live in Switzerland?
Switzerland is a country where 25% of the populations are foreigners. You have different ways to get a residence permit in Switzerland. After 10 years of official residence in Switzerland, you can apply for the Swiss naturalization. A foreigner can buy commercial real estate in Switzerland without restriction. If we're talking about residential real estate, then there are some restrictions. The three main points of real estate is location, location, location. And unfortunately, those amazing, nice places are not always the most cheapest one. Prices in Switzerland, in the top area, always goes up. Ideally, you should spend half of the week in Lausanne or Geneva and the other half in the mountains.
I traveled to Lausanne to meet with the lawyer Laurent Maire from MCE Avocats to learn how to move to Switzerland, buy property here, run a business, or benefit from the lump sum taxation regime. Can foreigners move to Switzerland?
Yes, and foreigners are more than welcome in Switzerland. Switzerland is a country where 25% of the populations are foreigners. So we have these traditions since centuries to welcome foreigners. Of course, there are different ways to come and establish in Switzerland. First, it's different whether you are a citizen of European Union or not. If you are not a European Union citizen, then you have different ways to get a residence permit in Switzerland. One of them is to have a working permit. The second one is to have a lump sum taxation agreement. And the third one is a retirement permit.
From which countries do you see the main inflow to Switzerland? What nationalities are coming out to Switzerland nowadays?
I would say it's very mixed. We had many people coming from Eastern countries those last years. We also have people coming from all countries of European Union, of course. Let's say that in French part we have a lot of French, a German part German, Italian part Italian, but we have also a lot of English people. We even have now many people coming from Middle East.
What are the most favorite places in Switzerland for foreigners?
Switzerland has many, many amazing touristing places. Some of them are in French part, some others in Italian or even in German parts. In French part of Switzerland, I would say that the mountains and some ski resorts are fantastic. And especially one of them, Verbier, is probably one of the most unforgettable places to be in Switzerland and to spend some time.
If you would decide to live in the city, like Geneva or Lausanne, or in mountains, what would be your personal choice?
It's a bit like choosing between your dad and your mom. Both of them are fantastic. It's a very difficult answer, but I would say that ideally, you should spend half of the week in Lausanne or Geneva and the other half in the mountains.
Can foreigners buy real estate in Switzerland?
Yes, they can. First, they can buy any commercial premises. There is no limitation under Swiss law. Whether or not they are resident in Switzerland, foreigner can buy commercial real estate in Switzerland without restriction. Second, if we're talking about residential real estate, then there are some restrictions. It depends first if they are staying in Switzerland with a residence permit or not. If they are not Swiss residents, then they can only buy real estate in some very specific places, the touristic places which are on a list from the federal state and the cantonal state. So for instance, in French part of Switzerland, the area of Montreux can offer this kind of authorization to buy real estate for non-resident. Same in Verbier, we just discussed about it, or in Zermatt, in Gstaad, in Crans-Montana, etc.
What are the real estate prices in Switzerland?
Real estate prices are very different in Switzerland from one place to another. So if you are close to big cities, or in the Lake of Geneva area, or in some very famous ski resort like Verbier, prices can be from 10,000 to 30,000 per square meter. However, if you go a little bit further in the countryside, it will go down between 2,000 to 5,000 easily.
What is the cheapest place in Switzerland?
I don't know, because it's probably a place where you never want to go.
If we are talking about the prices from 10 to 30,000 Swiss francs, are there any investment potential left?
Yes, very good question. Every time people think that the price of the real estate cannot go higher, but since 1946, after Second World War, prices in Switzerland in the top area always goes up. And the reason of that is that Switzerland is a small country and those places are limited. They are not so much. And of course, there is a pressure from the Swiss, from the foreign living in Switzerland to buy in a limited place. So the prices are continuing to go up. And it's probably, and it will probably for a long time be a good investment to buy real estate in Switzerland in those places.
Lump sum taxation is very special for Switzerland. It's very particular. How does it work?
Any foreigner who never worked in Switzerland before can apply for a lump sum taxation agreement. How does it work? It's a question of canton. Each canton can do whatever he wants with this concept. So most of the Swiss-German canton, they don't have the lump sum taxation system. It's some of Swiss-German canton, the French part of Switzerland, and Ticino, who propose this option to foreigners. You basically negotiate with the tax administration of the canton where you want to establish the amount that you will spend per year in your way of life. And this amount will serve as a basis of the calculation of your taxes. And then this will be fixed in an agreement, usually for 5 years. And every year you will pay this amount to the tax administration, and it is not anymore connected with your earnings. So for instance, if you earn millions of dividends, commission, whatever, then you will still pay this tax which has been fixed on the amount you spent per year. It can be very interesting, and on the tax perspective, it's completely transparent because you can receive all this income to your own name without any structure, without any complication. Then there's a few more conditions. With the lump sum taxation agreement, you can buy a real estate or you can rent. You will take the annual rent, and this amount has to be multiplied by 7. And the result of it should not be higher than the amount that has been calculated on your annual spending. There's other conditions which are less important. And the last but not least, when you are under the lump sum taxation agreement, you're not supposed to work in Switzerland. So it's a non-activity residence permit. But you have a lot of advantages.
If I ask for lump sum taxation, can I bring my family and the kids? And would they be able to work in Switzerland?
Of course, when you have a residence permit, can be a lump sum taxation or can be another permit, you have the right to bring your family. Your family is your wife or your husband and your children, which are less than 18 years old. Your wife in the lump sum taxation system is not supposed to work in most of the canton. So she will be like you without any activity. However, your children, they can study and then they can work and stay in Switzerland.
What are the most favorable cantons in terms of lump sum for foreigners, from your experience?
There is quite a big difference. Actually, the cantons are making some competition between each other. And let's say that, for instance, a long time ago, Geneva was more expensive than Vaud, where we are now. But so many people decided to come in state of Vaud that now it's reversed. State of Vaud is more expensive than Geneva. If you go to Valais, where is Verbier, Crans-Montana, Zermatt, it's less expensive than Vaud and Geneva. If you go to Ticino, it's also less expensive. It's a little bit like Valais. Then, of course, the place where you have your lump sum agreement is the place where you will live. Most of the time, when you have enough assets, you want to choose a nice place to live. So it will be more your own decision where you want to live, which will determine which kind of lump sum agreement you're going to have.
What I was always wondering, there are some cantons which are less expensive in terms of lump sum taxation. Canton Uri, Canton Nidwalden, Appenzeller, Aargau, but still most of people prefer to live in Canton Vaud, Valais, which are quite expensive. So why? Why people choose in the end most expensive place to live?
Because at the end of the day, the quality of life is not only the quality of your taxes, it's also the quality of the place where you are, the real estate. And remember, the three main points of real estate is location, location, location. So we come back to this main point that people, first of all, they want to be in a nice place. And unfortunately, those amazing nice places are not always the most cheapest one.
Can foreigners register a Swiss company and run business here?
You can run a Swiss company, you can receive a salary, you can be shareholder, you can receive dividends, you can be here to manage it without being a resident. This is disconnected, and I must say that many companies here in Switzerland are managed from abroad without any problem.
What are the main advantages to establish a company in Switzerland and to bring here also the corporate activities?
First, of course, the tax. Taxes are quite low for companies. And I must say that those last years, many cantons, because it's also a canton questions, they decreased the tax level. For instance, in state of Vaud here, a few years ago, the taxes for company was 24% of the profit. And now it went down to 13.78. Because of the competition between the canton, they decided to decrease the percentage. Second, you have high qualified people, which are quite easy to find in Switzerland. And for many companies who had high add value, it's very useful. Third, the legal framework is very convenient because it's very liberal, and so it's very flexible in terms of managing a company, especially when you have a lot of employees.
Which cantons are most interesting and promising to establish and run the business in Switzerland? Is there any difference?
Let's say that the cantons who have big cities are much more dynamic to propose some special deal to help to assist new companies to come to Switzerland. Zurich, State of Vaud, Lausanne, where we are, Geneva are some examples, but you have also Basel, you have Bern, all the big cities in Switzerland.
How long it takes to establish a company?
It's very quick. In our office, we can establish you a company within 2 weeks. Just prepare the articles of incorporation, send the capital to the bank, and then 10 days after, it's done.
Do you need to speak the local languages to run the business and to live here in Switzerland?
Not at all. Of course, it's better. But in terms of managing your business, you can live here easily without speaking either French, German, or Italian. Let's say it's better to speak some English. And then, of course, if you want to stay here for a long time and maybe get a permanent resident permit, the C permit, or even start the naturalization process to become Swiss, then you will have to learn French or German or Italian and pass an exam. But otherwise, you will survive easily in Switzerland without our native language.
By the way, how many years do you need to live in Switzerland to start naturalization process?
10 years. After 10 years of official residence in Switzerland, you can get your C permit. Once you get your C permit, you can apply for the Swiss naturalization. Let's make it clear that if you are a European Union citizen, after 5 years, you get your C already. Once you start the naturalization process, it may take you around 2 years before to receive your Swiss passport.
What about the residency permit? How long in practice it takes, let's say, from application until you get the residency permit and right to live here?
The reality is that it's quite long. because from the day you start until the day you receive in your hands your permit, it's generally 6 months. But after 1 to 2 months, you know where you go, because you have the first green light from the authority. And if you have this green light, usually the rest is just administrative step until you receive it in your hands.
If someone is watching our video and they have any further question, can they ask you? Can they contact your law office?
Of course, they can contact me, they can contact our law firm. We have a service that we will put them with the best specialist, and we will of course answer their questions, explain them what are the options, have a conference call or meeting with them, and after they have all the information, they can decide whether or not they want to move further on.
So, do you want to move and live in Switzerland? Please write in the comments. And if you need help moving to Switzerland, establishing a business or buying real estate, feel free to message me on WhatsApp or Telegram. All my contacts are in the video description. And like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you won't miss anything exciting in the future. That's all for today. See you in Switzerland.